Well, go quick though. What are you here for?
I'm the developer that's doing.
Folks, we will call to order the March 4th meeting of the Adrian City Planning Commission. We can have a roll call, please.
Yep, Jacobitz,
Present?
Love. Here. Weatherby,
Present.
Johnson and Watson are absent. Taylor.
Present.
Gauss.
Present.
Have a quorum.
Thank you. First item on our agenda is a consideration of the minutes from our February meeting. Commissioners, you have a copy of those minutes. I presume you've had an opportunity to review them. Are there any additions or corrections to the February minutes? Hearing none, would entertain a motion for their approval.
So moved. Support.
We have a motion and support. All those in favor, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Minutes are approved. The next item on our agenda is case number 2503, 1370 South Main Street, a zoning exception permit and a site plan review for a proposed arcade in the Crossroads Mall. Is there someone here to speak to that particular matter? Michael, is it you?
Yeah, hi.
If you'd identify yourself for the
Sure.
record and tell us what we're proposing. This sounds vaguely familiar.
Yeah, my name is Mike Nikolowitz. I'm an architect. I have an office here in town in the old fire engine house building. This is a project that was started right before COVID and then dropped because of COVID. And now it's kind of come back to life. It's a young kid who's done very well in social media, raising funds. He has several other arcades around the lower Michigan area and is successful with them. And he wants to come here and do something at a much bigger scale. So he is looking at this site where the old Big Lots used to be and would like to move in there and do a pretty substantial renovation in there and set up an arcade that has a little seating area that you can go and have a sandwich and, you know, let your grandkids or whatever play arcades. And so we're here to, we're resubmitting that site plan for approval. And basically.
And this is in the strip mall that currently has Harbor Freight and Planet Fitness.
It is right next to the Planet Fitness.
Okay.
It's directly to the south of it.
And there's no alterations to the exterior of the, are there any alterations to the exterior
Yeah,
facility or the parking lot?
the idea was that he would redo the, repaint the facade of the building, put some signage up, but that would be under a different, review. you
Right.
know. And I think the tenant wants to do a little bit of improvement on the sidewalk there directly in front of the tenant space.
Okay.
But-
But nothing else other than that.
Correct.
Okay. Commissioners, any questions? Like I said, we've seen this almost exact same proposal 3-4 years ago.
That was a while ago.
If I'm not mistaken, this was the project where Mr. Elliott was insisting that we put islands of trees and everything else throughout that whole parking lot. Jeremiah's nodding his head, yes.
Yes.
I thought that was excessive at the time, and I would believe that it would be excessive today.
Okay,
Because the ordinance is taking so long, the new ordinance does call out those. And Mike did create one, but I did not make him submit that.
Thank you for that.
any other questions or comments from the commission? Thank you, sir. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Is there anybody in the audience that wishes to address the planning commission on this particular proposal? Okay, folks, staff has reviewed both the site plan review, or the site plan and the zoning exception permit for this. The proposal meets all the specific requirements for a zoning exception permit. Granting such a permit would not adversely affect any environmental conditions. The proposed use is compatible with the adjacent and surrounding properties, and it's consistent with the city's future land use plan. And there were no comments or stipulations relative to the site plan. If the commission so chooses, I would entertain a motion to adopt the resolution that staff has provided for approving both the zoning exception permit and the site plan.
Move to approve the resolution.
Support.
Any additional comments from the commission? Okay, sir, if we could have the roll call vote, yes.
Gauss,
Yes.
Weatherby,
Support.
Love,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Jacobitz.
Yes,
Motion passed unanimously.
best of luck with that.
Yes, thank you.
Next item on our agenda is 818 Riverside Avenue. This is the former Bixby Hospital site for, pardon? Okay, for which we are looking at a planned unit development. Is there someone here to speak to that particular project? Sir, if you come forward to the microphone and identify yourself and give us the thumbnail sketch of what we're proposing to do.
Yes, my name is Scott Gibson. I am the developer, represent the developer. We have a proposal in front of you guys for a 63 unit, single family market rate for rent site. It does not conform to any existing code, so that's why we asked for a planned unit development, went down that path. I believe we have a preliminary approval. You asked us to go back, make some modifications. We responded. We did do that, created more definition for your review, and I believe we are here to receive that final approval.
Okay. Commissioners, questions for Mr. Gibson? Mr. Taylor?
Just a couple of things, comments on, section 11.8. It's presumed that all common property will be maintained by the landlord. I would assume that we're requiring that, not presuming it, right?
Yeah, we are penciling in Bobian for that. They've helped us with our landscape design, and we are in talks with them to do the maintenance work as well.
The other thing I'd point out is,
Just to
in a
Don,
couple,
if I may, on the very same, exact same topic, I think maybe what you were getting at though is making that if this is approved, making that a stipulation
yeah,
within the approval that
That we need to
landlord-
maintain it.
The landlord is responsible for.
That's fine. That's our
common
intention.
area
No
for
problem.
maintenance.
That's our intention. That way it creates a common maintenance, and there's a continuity to the site, and it's
I
maintained.
didn't mean to interrupt. but I
that's
wanted
okay,
to
that's fine.
clarify
No, and that's really where I was headed. But you got there ahead of me.
that. Okay,
But we need to be consistent here. So staff recommends approval of the preliminary development plan. And then in the actual resolution, we say final, then we say preliminary and final. This is the final development plan, right?
this is a final
All
development.
right, so we just want to make sure we don't approve you that you have to come back again. So we
Understood.
know this is the final, right? So-
Thank you.
Did we, we have copies of the
Mhm.
site plan.
Yes, sir.
And the one I was looking at, the one I had earlier in the week did not have any elevation drawings.
Yes, we somehow that slipped through the cracks on getting that attached to that. But as soon as that I was alerted to that, then we remedied that today.
Okay,
And those are, to add a little more context, that is also what we submitted the last time.
Yeah, understood.
Nothing's changed.
they just weren't in the packet that I received, so.
Yes, sorry.
How many units again?
63.
63?
Yep.
And are those all two-bedroom units? Are they
They
one-bedroom?
vary. There's different units in there. So there's some twos and some ones.
Twos
as
and
well.
ones?
Yeah.
Okay, so what do we expect the population to be approximately?
You know, that's a good question. I usually for 2 bedrooms, you put in 3 people per 3-bedroom unit. That's the typical math is how that's laid out. So if you did it, you're probably talking maybe 150 people.
Okay,
Yeah.
100, okay. I also did not see a lighting diagram.
Yeah, that's we have to take care of that.
Okay.
That I got alerted to that today.
Okay.
That obviously, if this was approved, that would be something that would be a contingency that would have to be remedied prior to final. Yeah.
Okay. One of the other things that is expected for a planned unit development is a development schedule. And I don't see that here in terms of, is the intention that all of this will be done at once or within, not at once, obviously, but within a 6-month time period and it'll all be done, or is this going to be phased in?
Presently, we are contemplating as doing it in one shot. It is possible that it could be done in 2 phases. We've looked at doing maybe 24 units and then leasing those and then doing the balance. But that has not been finalized, and we're entertaining both scenarios at present.
Okay,
But primarily, I mean, ideally, we would do it all in one shot. That makes the most sense.
we may want to get, possible contingency would be getting a schedule like that with with both alternatives.
I could have that to you tomorrow. That's not a problem.
Commissioners, any other questions or comments for Mr. Gibbs?
When you do that plan, can you make sure you talk with Jay and I over it, just in case there's
100%.
city stuff between it?
Yep,
Thank you.
100%.
There's no other questions. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Oh, Gordon, sorry.
So Scott, first of all, I appreciate the building's down.
Building's
That's a really
down.
wonderful thing. It's taken a long time, but that's not your fault. But yeah, we're very happy about that. I got some questions yesterday. I want to make perfectly clear
Sure.
that people understand this is not low income housing. This is market rate housing.
Market rate housing.
Yeah, and so I want to clear up that. I've heard some concerns about traffic. However, I've reached my personal conclusion is there's not going to be anywhere near the traffic that was in and out of the hospital.
Indeed.
So it's, that one is a non-starter for me either. I like the plan. I think it's good. Obviously, we need housing in the city of Adrian. So I'm very pleased to see you moving forward with it. And you have a great reputation. You've got your other projects around the country. I think Bentonville, Arkansas is where one of them is. It's
Yep.
beautiful. And I expect no less from this particular project. So,
Thank you.
Thank you.
I would add one more thing too. We are, I've heard some other questions as well. So just to reinforce all this, it's single families. It's not a multifamily deal where we plan on maintaining the site like we've already discussed. And we'll either self-manage or more than likely use local representations. As Chris Coscarelli at Foundation Realty, we've been speaking with him. So one way or another, we will manage it directly and or use someone that I have a close personal relationship with that I trust to make sure that it's a great, project for the community.
And this project's gonna be 1 and 2 bedrooms, not the 3-bedroom that's also in this packet?
Well, there's that we've
Or is that also a possibility?
there's 1 3-bedroom in there too. That is true. Yeah, it's 14. I think it's 1,436 square feet. Whatever's in there is in there. Yeah. Sorry.
Anything else, Commissioners? Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Gibson. Folks, is there anyone in the audience that wishes to address the Planning Commission on this particular matter? If you do, please step forward and identify yourself for us and tell us what you'd like to say.
Yeah, my name's Steve Benz. I'm a neighbor and I own some property that's for sale adjacent to that. And I'm just wondering about the perimeter. Is there any berming, landscaping? What kind of things are going to go into making this the community look that they're talking about?
There is landscaping, and we have a landscaping plan that we would be glad to share with you.
Okay.
There you go.
Maybe someone could just explain that.
Scott, would you want to explain Mr. Ben, if it would be okay, if it's okay, excuse me, we're going to have him explain it.
Do you want to bring it over here? I'll
Okay.
oh, I can talk you through it. The goal is
Either way.
what we tried to do is what we are doing is we're trying to maintain the majority of the perimeter and the visual barrier that already exists on Riverside, right? So you're gonna have that elevation change. So it's already there's about a 4-foot elevation change, right? So we're gonna maintain what we have that's already existing and add to it, right? I mean, that's the whole goal. And where there's visual area issues that could potentially exist on Kamali, then we have visual barriers that we've proposed in adding into that plan. So wherever we're required to have visual barriers, we're adding visual barriers, and then we're adding more vegetation and landscaping and whatnot to make sure the site's attractive as well. That's all within that plan.
Thank you. Thank you, Scott. Anybody else? Sir?
Hi, Jarek Tim, Adrian resident. So in previous meetings, the developer of this project has claimed the project will provide missing middle housing, which Adrian does desperately need. However, the plan only includes single-family homes which do not qualify as missing middle housing. Missing middle housing is clearly defined on page 122 of our city's comprehensive plan. While the plans do somewhat resemble cottage courts, which would count, they fall short. The homes are nearly twice the size of normal ones, and the density of 8 units per acre fall below the typical 15 to 31 units per acre for cottage courts. Additionally, our city's land use plan designates this area for multi-family residential zoning, but this development effectively extends R1 zoning. The project also fails to meet the criteria for a planned unit development in several ways. It doesn't offer a variety of housing types. It doesn't really increase the density. And it doesn't align with our city land use plans. Ironically, surrounding neighborhoods better fulfill some of these PUD requirements than the development. For example, the neighborhood on the south side of the high school has a similar density to the plan and a mix of different use or different types of housing, including missing middle housing. Traffic is another concern. I live right off of Riverside. The hospital has not been there for years, and I can tell you Riverside is still a traffic sewer, and people speed because there is nothing slowing them down. Along the entire length of it, there are only 2 crosswalks, one at Ben Oak and the other at Budlong, where the hill crests. The space between the crosswalks is 0.9 miles, which is unacceptable for walkability and safety. Has the city put any consideration into the necessary improvements of Riverside to reduce through traffic and improve walkability and bikeability in preparation for this project? I urge you guys to delay rezoning until the developer's plan aligns with the goals of our comprehensive plan and meets the criteria for both missing middle housing and a PUD. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I'm Shirley McDade and I live on Trenton Road.
Thank you.
I'm Shirley McDade and I live on Trenton Road. And I realize I might be late to the game, but first of all, I'm wondering, where is the developer from? Where is this business? Because he's going to have tentacles come out and apparently maintain things, but where's your company?
I reside personally in Dayton, Ohio, but I've been doing projects in this town for 5 years.
But you're not here on a daily
Okay,
basis.
please address the
You're
committee.
not here on a daily basis. I'm concerned about how this property is going to maintain. I realize you say you have Bobian taking care of the outside. Who's going to make sure that the insides of these rental units are going to stay in good condition? We have a lot of rental units in Adrian that pretty much look terrible, and they've got to look pretty awful before the city gets involved in talking to the landlords about the condition. There's an awful lot of people that are going to be living on 7 acres of property. That seems awfully crowded and busy to me, right across the street from the high school, where those kids are going to be walking back and forth to school and driving back and forth to school with a lot of more traffic on Riverside. I'm very concerned about the population that this might attract and the condition that the property will be maintained in. I came tonight knowing that this was going to be the developer's presentation. I was expecting a presentation where we could see the way the units are positioned. We could see the landscaping for ourselves. Mainly the questions that you as commissioners and people of the planning committee asked, he had very general answers, nothing specific. And when you're talking about this being the last meeting, the last presentation, I think that it's still too wishy-washy for it to be approved. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay.
Come on down. My name is Mike Coffey and my wife and I live in a 5th house from Riverside on Budlong. And I don't really have a problem with what they want to do at the hospital, but Riverside, where it goes down the hill, I run in that area. And there are times from the end of Budlong, you cannot see what's coming up Riverside in time to get out of the way or anything. I've got caught in the middle of the street. I have a boat trailer and a camper and whatnot, and if I pull out on the riverside and there's somebody coming up that hill, you cannot see coming up that hill. So if you put houses over there without somehow changing the grade, and it only would take a couple feet of riverside to make it so people coming up that hill were visible, it would be a great benefit, I think, to everybody that lives in the area.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, with that said, is there anyone online that wishes to address the planning commission on this particular project? No? Okay. Hearing no additional comments, we'll close the public comment portion of this review. Commissioners, as you know, if this is, any action we take will be in the form of a recommendation to the city commission. A planned unit development requires the city commission's approval. And in fact, this is a change in the ordinance, and this in fact is a change in the zoning for that particular property from whatever it is now, office service to planned unit development. And the rules and regulations that go with that particular zone. So as I said, any action we may take will be in the form of a, will not be approving this, but it'll be in the form of a recommendation to the city commission. We have before us staff's review of this particular project. And let's review the contingencies that we wish to make for this. One is that as part of the planned unit development agreement, the property owner will be responsible for the common grounds maintenance. And what else was there, Jeremiah?
Lighting plan.
And they will provide both a lighting plan and a development schedule. And commissioners, are there additional discussion?
The point about the developers requires project in Lenawee County Drain Commission.
And that, thank you, that's 4 of them then, okay.
The what?
The Drain Commission,
I did that already.
okay,
Yeah, we submitted both of both for the drainage and for the stormwater.
okay,
We did that last week.
we'll just need confirmation
Yeah,
of that, so,
probably.
okay. So we've got the Drain Commission, we've got a lighting plan, and we've got a development schedule with a contingency and maintenance for common space as part of the
Yes, sir.
agreement. Commissioners, what is your pleasure?
I would move we accept the final development plan as we discussed with the contingencies noted.
And recommend that as to the city commission for approval.
Recommend the city commission for approval.
We have a motion. Is there support for that motion? Support from Commissioner Gauss. Commissioners, any additional discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Yes, sir. Weatherby,
Support.
Gauss,
Support.
Taylor,
Support.
Jacobitz.
Yes,
Love.
Yes.
Motion passed unanimously.
okay, that will go to the city commission in 2 weeks. So,
Sounds good.
yep. And will be on their agenda for at least 2 meetings, if I'm correct. So, okay. Next item on our agenda is case number 2506-109 West Maumee Street facade improvements for this building. Is there anybody here to address that particular matter?
Can you repeat that, please? I'm sorry. No, we can't hear back here.
109 West Maumee Street. Jeremiah, if you would give us the background on this.
So this is the old Jesus Saves building, as everyone knows it. We currently have an enforcement on them as the bottom floor is not very attractive.
Folks in the back of the room, if you could,
Well,
There-
folks,
folks, if you could
Folks,
hold your conversation in the back. of the
do you
room
mind
now,
back there? We
I
can't.
I can hear you up here. Folks, hey,
Yep. Whoa, we're trying to,
Jeremiah, please. Thank you. Jeremiah, go ahead.
So because we have a enforcement on this, they are required to do something with that. This is their proposal. They used many drawings in this, and it's in front of you because of the enforcement, because this will go to court if not. They are planning to take the two indented doors, even those out with the face of the building, putting the garage doors that you can see on the last page in those locations. And they do still plan to use the doors that Maple City Glass shows on the Acropolis game. So I know it's a little bit of a Frankenstein that they turned in.
I'm confused then.
So-
They're showing regular doors, but they
So
are
look at
showing
his-
garage doors.
Look at his gridded sketch if you can. So I know that this is horrible.
You know,
There's two doors on the left side. These two middle things are the garage, you know, like they do in Ann Arbor that you can open up. And then there's one more door on the right. One of the doors on the left leads up to the apartments, which is why there's two.
you know, without there being some more detail as to what their plans are, because on one hand, it says Acropolis Games on the front.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, this was submitted to me very late. And
Okay,
Speaking
I,
with code enforcement, they wanted to get this rolling.
I'm not willing to even, for myself, I'm not willing to consider this without additional information.
Right.
Anybody else feel differently?
I agree. It's just, everything is not clear here.
Yeah,
I think I need
And
to sit down with code enforcement
Yeah,
longer.
right.
I mean, they've briefed me on it, but he brought these, I mean, he emailed me 2 days before I sent the packet, so.
I mean, if they had if they had a plan for a restaurant with outdoor seating and we showed the seating and all of
Mhm.
that and some garage doors to accommodate that, then maybe, but just to
Their plan is just to basically renovate the front so it doesn't look
as bad as.
horrible anymore.
Yeah.
Frankly. And
Then.
this is
yeah.
the plan that they came up with. I
Okay.
suppose.
Question I have, is there a time frame? As code enforcement said, you need to have this done by.
They're not online and neither is the enforcement T. So they're not online, so I can only really tell you what I know.
Okay,
I do know that Glenn is handling this one and I believe if it does not get approved, it's going to court, but we can put a stay on that if we choose to bring this back again. But the court would just say that he needs to button it up as it is and move it forward, depending on what Burke would ask. I suppose.
I would entertain a motion to table this.
I would support that.
Any support?
Support.
All those in favor of tabling this item until we have additional information, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
Can we encourage them to be here at the next meeting?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
The next item on our agenda was a discussion of the draft ordinance. We really don't have anything to discuss on that this evening. I would make a few comments. It's somewhat redundant from our last meeting. It's disappointing that the draft that we received was in need of much work. However, we're moving forward with it. As I mentioned to some of you earlier in the week or last week, it's my intention that we will complete this project with a much more readable and user-friendly ordinance and have it to the city commission by midsummer. Midsummer, is that, probably July is what I'm thinking. No, I think as I think I mentioned again to some of you, my intention is to gather all of your comments, which we had, and for those of you who have done that, thank you, Mrs. Weatherby. Mr. Taylor in particular gave me like 15 pages of notes. Chad Johnson provided some comments and Cindy Bealey also provided a ream of comments on it. Jeremiah and I are meeting next week to kind of synthesize that. And my hope is to have a revised draft to you, perhaps by April, May at the latest. I would also like us to then hold at least one open house, public casual open house, kind of like the downtown did with the bike path last week. Nothing terribly formal, but an opportunity for citizens to get a gist of what the new ordinance will look like and also provide input to it prior to a formal public hearing on it. And it will give us a chance then to perhaps make additional revisions. That's my intention.
I would suggest, I agree with that, but I would suggest that when we do an open house, the zoning ordinance rewrite is very complex. So in the past, our open houses have been, people come in and look at sheets of paper. A formal presentation of what this is, what it means,
What's different?
I think that's important. There could be a Q&A afterwards, but I think it's really important. We haven't done that in some of our previous open houses. I
Already in
think
the plan.
that's,
Already in the plan.
okay, good. Thank you.
Jeremiah.
Gordon, I can make sure I set up a good presentation for everybody to walk them through it. The other thing is I did talk to MEDC who gave us the grant money for it and I got us a year extension. So we really don't need to rush if we don't want to. The consultants are paid off though, so they're no longer with us. This is going to be purely us doing this now. Well, me, but you guys as well. So Mike's gonna come in, we're gonna get chunks of it done. And my other hope that I wanted to talk about too is we do reviews in sections instead of full reviews, because I feel like that's too much for us to do. It's horrible to read 300 pages of ordinance. So we've got time if we choose.
Well, that just sets it back a ways, but okay.
We need to do this right.
And we.
And, you know, it's dragged on already for a number of months.
Yep.
In my opinion, a couple of extra months ain't gonna make a difference because it's really important that we do this right. We make sure the public understands what it is, what the changes are. And, yeah, so, again, if it takes a couple extra months, so be it.
Okay.
And MEDC agrees. They gave us this extension because they don't want us to rush. They want it to be a good product that they can show to.
Any other comments on that topic? Okay. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to address the Planning Commission on any other topics? If you come forward to the podium and identify yourself and tell us what you'd like to say.
Julie Youngworth, Adrian. And I came late. I didn't realize that you'd be so quick going through this, but I'm basically going to comment on the case 2504. And
We already voted and approved that.
I'm sorry?
We already.
I know I'm late, but I'm still going to comment on it.
Okay,
Am I
please do.
correct?
Sorry. Yeah.
Okay. So my comment is, and just listening to you right now, I think that's great what you're saying about presentations, open house, which I am at a loss as to why there was nothing on this issue, an open house, any information to the neighborhood. I don't see, unless I missed it, and I didn't see anything, any notification on the development requests from the developer to the residents, to the neighborhood. Is there going to be?
Please do.
So according to the statute, it's 300 feet around the parcel. So I send those notices out. It does get noticed in the newspaper. The state statute is a bit archaic and we can't put it on the website I mean, we try to, but we have to put it in the newspaper, and the 300 feet is a very strict one. It's not really the developer to do that. It's more us. And usually we don't have open houses on these kinds of things. We just hope that residents are able to see the notifications that come out.
And that's my big concern, is that there was no transparency and there was no information given to the residents in the neighborhood. which is my main concern, is the impact that this will have on the neighborhood. Is there any, so sorry, is there going to be any study done on the impact of the neighborhood, the sewage, the water, police, everything regarding the city of Adrian? I mean, a developer can come in, give his proposal. It can be approved without, as far as I'm concerned, any transparency, any notice to the neighborhood. Nothing was mailed out to anyone to let them know about this development. I mean, I do see online, which there is input from the community, not much, but I think that there's something lacking here, especially for the people that live in the neighborhood, especially to the impacts to the city. And I don't think enough was done to present this. So you've already approved, you've already approved the final development, which I think is totally wrong. If I was here to speak before, I would have, said, don't approve it at this point until more information is given to the residents, given to the neighborhood, given to the people that live in the neighborhood, the people that are going to be impacted by the traffic, by all of the increase in all of everything. So those are questions that I would like to get answered. And if there is going to be some kind of a open house, some kind of a presentation to the neighborhood, that would be great. At this point, I'm not too sure where that fits in. At this point, I do know that as a resident, as a person that lives in the neighborhood, I don't think the way that you've done this is right. There's no transparency. People, as far as I'm concerned, what I know, people were not informed enough about this development, which I'm sure you can tell that I'm totally against. I don't approve it.
Ma'am, in all due respect, we've been discussing this project for well over 6 months.
Who's been discussing it?
Right here.
In the meetings, every meeting,
The developer has
past
been there
months?
3 times,
Okay.
presenting and re-presenting, and we've required them to go back and forth. The media has, not just on social media, I think Lenawee Voice has published information about this. The Telegram has also. If the public doesn't feel that they've been informed, again, in due respect, you're not paying attention, because it has been out there. This is not any big secret. People have been asking when the hospital was going to come down, what was going to go there. It's been clearly explained, but yet we are still getting questions like yours. But to say we're not being transparent, that's just not the case.
And in all due respect, I think that as much as you've done to go to the media, go to wherever you think that you've gone enough to inform the residents, I don't think so. I don't agree with you at all. Okay, and that's fair. That's fair. So I'm letting you know that at this point, the only thing that I've seen anywhere is Bixby, is it going to come down? What's going to happen? I didn't see any plans. I didn't see any developer plans. Did the neighborhood get those plans? Did the neighborhood see those plans? Was the neighborhood informed on where they could go to see those plans? Were they? Were they?
So
I'm talking about the people that live in the neighborhood. Those are the ones that are going to be impacted at the most. I know the city of Adrian is always looking for ways to get money and, the taxes and things like that. But in this case, my main concern, and that's all I don't want to keep going on, but my main concern is that I don't feel, as being a resident in the neighborhood, the immediate neighborhood, I don't think enough was given to inform the people that live in the neighborhood.
Thank you.
And I don't think that this.
I appreciate that.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else on any other topic? Madam Mayor.
I wasn't going to talk, but this is Mayor Angie Sarteeth. As you go forward with the zoning rewrite, I have tried to read that horrible, long, very thick, huge thing. And so I think when you go to do those presentations, you just really got to highlight what's different, what has changed, and just really stick to that and try to make it bullet points so that that presentation is clear and concise and not overwhelming. Because that packet, I know you're going to rewrite still. I realize that's happening, but that packet is extremely overwhelming. And so just to make it so that it is more transparent and clear that people really understand these zoning changes. And I think when that is approved, something that we need to do as a city, I guess I'm directing this at you, Jeremiah, but is make sure that that is sent, whether it's in the water bill or however we send it, that everybody really knows what these zoning changes are so that they are informed. I know that is a cost when we do that, when we put out extra mailings, but I think it's very important because we even hear now that people are like, I didn't know I was going against a zoning ordinance. I didn't know this even existed. And so I think to really put those changes out there as well, because not everybody's going to know that these changes have occurred unless we really publicize that and really make them aware.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So that people are aware, most are proposed zoning ordinance, at least the draft, the early draft is 2/3 or 3/4 the size of the existing one. It is still 160 some pages of fine print. That's how zoning ordinances are. And while we will do our best at some public presentation to synthesize it down to a number of bullet points, they're asking a lot to take a zoning ordinance and even summarize the changes in a pamphlet. But we will do our best, and we will maybe emphasize the high points of the changes, and that's probably the best we can do. Anybody else?
I just wanted to say what you just said, you'll do your best. It would be good if you could take input from us.
That's what we intend to do.
Periodically
Yes.
instead of like once a month. So if you could let us know about that. I don't know. I get on your site sometimes, so.
Okay. Any other business to come before us this evening?
Mike, could I make a comment?
Is that you, Lynn?
It is, thank you,
Yes,
Lynn
please.
Punnett. I'm excited about the changes. I'm pretty familiar with ordinances. I look forward to the job you will do, the difficult job you will do to inform the public of this new approach. But I'm just surprised to hear, did I hear you say, Jeremiah, that the Smith Group has been paid in full and that the work to get it done is now going to be on you as a commission and you as staff, and they are not going to complete the project? Is that what I understood?
So they have spent about a year working on this. And they are consultants. They work on a hour. So they ran out of billable hours. They are not, I really don't want to bash them. But,
I understand.
there's a reasoning for that. And we can speak about that, Lynn, or if we need to go into it, but I don't like bashing people. So yes, we have paid them. It was $1,000 that we owed. But we have somewhat of a deliverable, and Mike and I will be very sure that this is business friendly, user friendly, and that everyone is agreeable to all changes.
Well, maybe not everyone.
Maybe not everyone.
All changes, but
Most.
that's asking a lot, yeah.
Well, I appreciate the response. I just know as I listened on the review that you did, the last time you gathered, there were some pretty glaring omissions and so you'll get it done, and that's what matters. And I am excited to come to your open house, hear your presentation, and see this thing implemented because it's going to be good. Thank you.
Thank you, Lynn. Anyone else? There's no other business to come before us. We would entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Support?
Support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you all very much.